Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to our Setting the Record Straight podcast. I know it's been a little minute, but it's your boy Vic Ho.
It's your girl Kai.
And today we are going to be talking about feminism. Spicy topic. You know what I'm saying? So, this podcast not for the weak. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying, if you get hurt easily, you know what I'm saying, you bruise easy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you, but we having real conversations in real time. And, at the end of the day, like, our goal is just to share information, tips, our point of view. Everybody has different point of views based on whatever they read or based on their upbringing and their experiences and circumstances. So that's all we're doing. All we're doing is bringing our point of view. And if you're somebody with an open mind and open heart, then, we can have a dialogue that's going to make us better. So I wanted to play this clip before we go into anything, because part of this clip is going to be part of the discussion. Thank you. So part of me sharing this clip is because it's very vital to our discussion that we're going to be having today about feminism. So I'm going to play the clip and then we're going to have a discussion about it. So here we go. Bear with me. I'm an old head. I almost clicked the wrong button. Yeah, hold on. I'm about to be sharing my screen. I'll make sure I ain't got the wrong things up here. That's silly. Okay. Boom. So you can see it, right, Kai?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So I'm about to play the clip, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I know some of y'all don't like Dr. Umar, but I'm just going to play the clip. Just listen to what he's saying. Just be open, because it's part of the dialogue.
Was created by the CIA. Feminism was created by the CIA. The woman who was the main proponent of feminism, Gloria Steinem, was a CIA agent, and the CIA financed Gloria Steinem's magazine. I forget the first. The Us magazine was financed by the CIA.
I believe it was Us.
It might have been Us. Yeah. Regardless of the name,
I know what you're talking about.
Proven. And why did the CIA introduce feminism? The CIA introduced feminism to empower the black female and to disempower the black male. See, the empowerment of our sisters is not an evil. Her being more educated than the black man is not necessarily an evil. Her bringing home more pay than the black man is not necessarily an evil. It is the interpretation she makes with regard to why she out-earns her mate. It's the interpretation she makes to she out-educates her mate. It's not until the black woman swallows the American power structure's narrative as to why the black male is disenfranchised does it become a problem. Because if my wife out-earns me and out-educates me, that's not an issue if she can still respect my manhood. But because we live in a capitalist empire, your worth as a male is automatically translated into your take-home pay. So they look at what is your man worth? How much does he bring home? They don't look at all the other ingredients that make a strong black male. We get reduced to $8. And why is that ironic? Because when we first showed up in Jamestown, Virginia, on August the 20th of 16, men was determined based on our what? Physical output. Our worth in the NBA today is determined by what? Our physical output. Our worth in the NFL today is determined by what? Our physical output. And unfortunately, our worth to black women today is determined by our physical output. How much can you bring home?
All right, so that was the video. What do you think about it?
I agree. I mean, what he's saying, if you search it up, what he's saying is facts. You know, um, if you look it up, what he's saying is true. So I feel like this is not really um a matter of opinion. I feel like it's just a matter of fact and acknowledging facts. Um, I don't I don't think that feminism. I don't think that Black women should identify as feminists. I don't think that feminism is for Black women. Historically, feminism has never been for Black women. Black women have always been utilized, and we've been used by white women, right, to get their demands, right? And we saw that in the suffrage movement, right? When it came time to get white women to vote, right? White women wanted a right to vote. And and they utilized Black women, right? And as soon as they were able to have a right to vote, right? White women were allowed to have the right to vote. They kicked Black women to the side. And it's also important to note that the only reason why white women had a suffrage movement was because Black men with property were allowed to vote. And only then did they become offended by the fact that they were not allowed to vote, right? So the very premise of why white women had a suffrage movement was based off of racism, right? And seeing Black people as second-class citizens and then feeling like, well, if Black men now have a right to vote, then we as white women should have a right to vote. So I think that this is just a long the feminism movement that we see now is just a continuation of a long history that Black women have had in terms of white women using them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like when I hear women and they say like I'm a feminist, like I'm automatically like you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like, and we could talk about some people's excuses, right? They'll be like, oh, well, white women stole feminism from the Black woman and yada, yada, yada. But it's like, okay, regardless of who started it, this is what it has become. You know what I'm saying? Like, and today when you identify as a feminist, because some people know some people know like this is some of like the reasons why we have issues between the Black man and the Black woman today. This is just one component, right? There's a whole bunch of other things. But so with the people that understand that aspect, right, of history, that it's like, all right, this is what's fueling your whole independent stuff, your whole like, promiscuous stuff, your whole, the whole shenanigans that they're feeding our women, right? Is behind like this whole feminism and women's rights stuff, right? Like it's all about fake liberation. The United States does that all the time. Is something wrong?
No, I'm good.
No. I just want to make sure. The United States does that all the time, right? They go across seas. They did it with the woman in Africa, right? Like when they was talking about, oh, the Boko Haram, the Muslim group is kidnapping young Muslim women, and they're forcing them, they're raping them, they're doing all these things, right? So they was talking about campaigning to go to Africa to go save these women. But yet there's like about 75,000 women that is kidnapped in your land that you don't care. You don't talk about it. You don't put it out there in the news. I don't know if this is just Black women. Some reports say it's just Black women, 75,000 Black women, right? I don't really know the reports, but the whole thing is like, you have women in your country that have been kidnapped, like, you know what I'm saying, that are being trafficked. That is a lot of things going on to them, but you don't make that a pressing issue. You make a pressing issue like, let's go to Nigeria, or let's go somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Let's go to Afghanistan. Let's go help the woman in Afghanistan, and you neglect the woman in your own land. So it's clear that this is not about some women liberation, right? There's something else attached to it. And I think like when our sisters can't see it, you know what I'm saying? When they and again, that's not me saying that there's not circumstances that that are going on or are taking place where the men are doing some foul stuff to the women. I'm just saying that like our enemies are using that. they're using those, you know, because they understand there's some situations, there's a certain dynamic, and they're using that pain and that grief to kind of like fuel this movement. You know what I'm saying? So because I think a lot of times misandrous women come in the disguise of feminists, right? Misandrous, for the people who don't know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a man hating women. So a lot of times these man hating women are dressed in the cloak of feminism and fighting for rights and women to be equal and all of these good stuff. But in reality, they're really fighting on some revenge shit. You know what I'm saying? On some getting back at men or you know, or banging on men, like we say in the hood, right? They just trying to really bang on men. And I think like, so when I hear me personally, when I hear a woman as a feminist, I have to kind of like try to differentiate, is this woman a bitter misandrist, or is she really somebody who understands or is trying to just get certain things?
Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, I feel like on this topic specifically, I feel like, you know, we've had discussions prior to this, and I feel like we, for the most part, agree, right, on this topic. I think that, you know, when I was growing up and in my early social justice days, you know, I feel like I fell into the trap a little bit. I fell into the trap of feminism because at the end of the day, we can acknowledge though that, you know, there are some inequalities that like women do face, right? Um, there are certain men out here who don't have respect for women and who continuously cause women harm, right? Because they know that women are not as strong as men. We see it all the time on the news with like these attempted rapes and just, you know, men putting their hands on women and so on and so forth. So I think like just for starters, like this conversation is not about negating that truth, but I think it's more so about really like analyzing, like again, like feminism, what it means, and specifically to Black people, right, to Black women, right, what is our place um in feminism, right? What demands are people within the feminism movement seeking that are going to directly benefit us, right? When people talk about, for example, like the pay gap, right? When white women talk about the pay gap, right? What a lot of Black women don't understand is your pay to her pay is extremely disproportionate, right? And at what point within that movement are we going to address race? At what point within that movement you're teaming up with a person who gets paid despite her being a woman because of intersectionality and because of the fact that she is a white woman, right? She still gets paid significantly more than you. At what point during this movement are we going to acknowledge that? You know what I'm saying? We're not both fighting the same battles because our battle involves race. And at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that before a lot of things, right, we're Black, right? Like before our gender, right, we are Black. Before our race, I mean, before our sexuality, we are Black, right? Before a lot of things that I think are being put up there, right, to divide us in a lot of ways. I think that, you know, Black women should recognize that, right? And I think that that'll help us to be able to mobilize and really come together on certain issues.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think that like that has been part of the agenda, right? Part of the agenda is like, I believe the man was attacked first. I believe, you know, from the beginning, you know, the man was emasculated, right? So you take away his ability to provide for his family, and you take away his ability to protect his family, right? What do you have? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you, if we are born with a certain nature and you take away some of those things, right? You take away his ability to do this, and then in turn you take the ability of the woman to just being able to be that nurturing person, right? Because she has to step up. And so they're very smart, right? They attack the men, and then they attacked our women, right? And then, you know, they attack our children. Like, they just disintegrated the whole family structure, right? Like, and I think that like today, I feel like at some point, me and you was having this conversation. I feel like at one point when, you know, we had the Black Panthers and you had certain strong men, right, that were leading the community, right? they started attacking them, right? And like, even this is after slavery, right? This is after you done emasculated them. This is after you done raped them. You done did a whole bunch of stuff to both parties, right? Now people are still fighting. They're still trying to get themselves together, right? And even the symbols of courage and strength that were left in the community, right? You found a way to just keep attacking them, right? So you found a way to just, so now you got mass incarceration. Now you got drugs, right? Now you got crack cocaine. You got mass incarceration. You got like people infiltrating. You got other men infiltrating these movements. You know what I'm saying? To give back information or whatever. So, and then that's, you're not done with that. And then you add, then when the Panther Party was being dismantled, then you fund other movements, right? Then you propel like this whole gender stuff, right? Then, you know, the boom, in the 70s, right? The LGBT stuff came out of storm, right? Like, you feel me? Like, so now you kind of like, and you know, black people are kind of like considered the most homophobic group, right? So you start kind of like gearing your attention towards a certain group. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start, and you know, people not gonna agree. Again, this is just my point of view, right? You start gearing certain shit. You start gearing like a woman's agenda, right? You start gearing a gender agenda. You start gearing a lot of these things towards the black community because you feel like we are the ones that are struggling with these new concepts, right? And I think that, yeah, like you said, and this is, and one thing that he mentioned is like how respect, right? How respect is attached to how much money you make. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's the biggest problem that we have. Like, you see it all the time. You see these women highlight these celebrities, right? And a celebrity dude might get out there and say, well, my woman don't pay for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and this is why I say we got two different brains, man. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, because it's like, how could you not see that this is a rich man you're talking about? You're talking about a rich man. You know what I'm saying? A rich man that has the means and whatever, right? Like, to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's not realistic to compare our lives to the lives of these people. So they'll see a G Herbo, they will see a Lil Durk, or they'll see you know what I'm saying? They'll see a whole bunch of these rappers and they'll be like, look, he makes sure his girl good. She don't pay for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? And then, and at the same time, it's like, you will stop respecting you. Like, you're an average woman, just like I'm an average man, right? So it's like, how you put that expectation of a, you know, not everybody becomes a rapper, not everybody becomes an athlete, not everybody becomes a whatever they become, right? To like Kevin Samuels often say, right? Like, he said, yo, only like 5 to 9% of the men in this country, right, gonna make a certain type of money that you want, right? So it's like, and then it's like, if you don't make that, it's like you don't respect me. And I think like that's the biggest problem. And I think you mentioned this to me. You said that G Herbo said something about his new girlfriend, right? That he said that she make him feel like a man or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's crazy because,
but he also did state that his girl doesn't pay any bills either.
No, I already said that. But yeah, but the point is, she makes him feel like a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that, again, you know, if he was poor and he was broke, I don't know how that would be. You feel me? I don't know how much, like you said, you know what I'm saying? He also did say like, she don't pay for nothing, right? But at the same time, I'm also wondering, will she still respect you? Will she still make you feel like a man when you're not paying for everything, when you're not taking care of everything? And I think like Dr. Umar said, that's the biggest thing, right? It's not that you smarter than me. It's not that you are more, you know, you get more pay than me. And another thing I wanted to add on, in another video, Dr. Umar mentioned that the black woman is the only woman that makes more money than her man. You know, and then some sisters, they put in their head that it's because I'm the smartest woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm the this, I'm the that. And I'm like, hey, you done bought into the narrative. You think ain't no smart Asian women? You know what I'm saying? You think ain't no smart Latino women? You think ain't no smart Indian women? You think ain't no, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they have bought into the narrative of me. I'm saying this is all me, baby. I'm saying all me. So and the last thing I want to say is just like respect is very important to a man. You know what I'm saying? That's like you see men killing other men over respect. I'm saying a lot of people can't understand it. I think a lot of times women can't understand it, right? Like, why would you do something senseless, right? They just be like, how could you just kill somebody? It's because they don't understand the levels and the extent that man will go just to preserve his respect. You know what I'm saying? Because respect is something that is very important to a man. In some cases, I think respect is more important than love, to a man. And that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother conversation. But I think that's like the main issue. The main issue is like, if you don't make enough money, I'm not going to respect you. And then I think that leads to a lot of physical altercations, right? I think when a man feels disrespected, especially when a woman is telling you, you ain't shit, you can't do nothing for me, I don't need you. It's like, it's some truth there, right? And then I feel like, again, a lot of times when men get disrespected, because everything is a power struggle, right? When you make more money than me, you have some type of kind of like leverage on me to a certain extent, right? So when we get confronted in certain situations, what do? We go into situations where we have the power in. And usually when the man don't make more money than his woman and she got a little more power than him on that, he goes to physicality because he can overpower her there. And that just creates a whole bunch of other issues. But I've been rambling.
Yeah, I agree with some of the things that you said. I also feel like at the end of the day, I think there's a silent exchange between women and men, right? That
You said silent?
we silent, yeah.
Okay.
There's a silent exchange that goes on between women and men that we don't really like to acknowledge, right? Um, I think that men's value is in their money, right? And a woman's value is in her beauty. Is that right? Is that the way that it should be? Is that the way that I operate in my life? No. But for the most part, and in terms of how we operate as human beings, in terms of the dating realm and how we date and who women choose to admire and go after, that's what it's based off of, right? I think a lot of times when women talk about men who are attractive or talk about men who they want to be with, I think a lot of it is associated with power, right? And we associate power with money. So oftentimes when women lust after these men, right, we lust after these men because so for example, right, a man will put a lot of effort into his watch, into his shoes, into his car, into his belt, into clothes, because clothes can signify wealth, right? And I think that women, right now, we see women are investing thousands of dollars into their body, right? Because they understand that their value, right, is in their, like, their physicality, right? Like how they look, right? Their physical beauty. Um, and just to talk about G Herbo real quick and his girlfriend or whatever, not specifically them because I don't know them or their situation, but I would say that I would bet that if G Herbo did not pay all the bills, and if G Herbo did not have the money and the power that he has, right? When I say power, I'm talking about his street credibility as well. I don't think that woman that he is with now would look his way, right? Does that make her a terrible woman or a terrible person? I don't think so. No. I think like that's unfortunately, like I said, the way that we have operated, right? Like we look for men to provide, we look for men to be the breadwinners, we look for men to have respect. Like we as women will see how other men respect the men that we are with, and that's how we respect them. We also are twisted. Women are twisted, whereas we like kind of like want to like test men in a weird way and like try them to see if they'll like put us in our place, right? We always say, "Oh, I need a man to handle me," or women kind of like fetishize that moment where like a man puts you in your place, right? Because we kind of like we value that, right? We value men that treat us in some ways like we're like replaceable, right? We value men who have a myriad of options, right? We pick men who have multiple women that they could pick from, right? Like the way that we as and we always talk negatively about men like that, but on the real in this dating realm as women, that's who we always go after. You know what I'm saying? We always go after the man that has that street credibility, right? The tough guy, right? Like that guy has always been fetishized, right? We always go after the guy who has a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? We always go after the guy who has a whole lot of girls, right? And it's just like I feel like that's true in that realm. And then in terms of men going after women, men are attracted to women based off of how they look. Now everybody has their different preferences, but whatever your preferences are, you tend to date women who you find beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You tend to want to marry women, or you want to attach yourself to a woman who you find to be beautiful, right? Now, there's always exceptions. Again, like I said, I'm not saying that everybody operates with that same thinking pattern, but for the most part, let's just be realistic. That's just we value beauty when it comes to women, and we value money when it comes to men. And I think the quicker that we acknowledge that, I think the quicker that we'll be able to change that. I feel like a lot of times, or I don't know if people want to change it or accept it, but I feel like oftentimes a lot of people are just they just don't acknowledge that that's like the reality of the way that like we operate, right? In the same ways, like I think it kind of goes back to like another conversation that we were saying about like body shaming, right? And women are always talking about like, oh, men shouldn't be body shaming us and fat shaming and boom, boom, and whatever, whatever. But we do body shame men as well, right? We talk about things that men can't necessarily change, right? We talk about height. You know what I'm saying? Men can't change their height. We talk about penis size. You know what I'm saying? Men can't change their penis size. You know what I'm saying? So certain things that we do, we consistently talk about. We put down men who aren't a certain height, who don't have a certain penis size, and then when they turn around and say like, "Oh, I want a girl with a big butt and a small waist," you know what I'm saying? We're all up in uproar like, "Oh, he's body shaming and boom, 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 blah blah blah." When it's really the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like there's like a lot of uh I don't know if I want to say like it's delusional. Like I feel like it is delusional. I feel like it fits into that realm in terms of like the conversations that like we have about like just dating and like what men look for and what women look for.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Definitely. I definitely
Wait,
agree.
can I? Sorry. I just thought about one thing. Sorry before I cut you off. I also
That's
want
cool.
to. I also want to say this too. A lot of women will also sit here and lie and say that they don't care about a man providing. Oh, I don't care about how much money a man has. Oh, I don't mind going 50-50 on bills. Or I don't boom, boom. But they're lying. Because as soon as they get into those positions where they do have to pay half the rent, where they do have to be responsible for themselves or something like that, they they can't hang. They can't hang. They start complaining. They start not respecting the man as much, not respecting his opinion as much. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's another part of the delusional shit that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Pretending that you're okay with that when you know deep down inside that you're not. If that's not what you're okay with, then you need to state that and you need to be honest and stop getting into these situations with men and claiming that you don't care about how much money they make and you don't care about going half and half on bills when every single time you pay a bill, it's eating you up inside. You know what I'm saying? Because you
Yeah.
truly wish to desire to be taken care of.
Yeah, and I think like somebody said, and it's funny that you mentioned two of those things, right? Because I made a post about 5 lies that all women tell men, and it's not necessarily that all women tell all those lies, right? But at least some of those things on the list they're gonna lie about. And two of the things is that size don't matter and that money doesn't matter, right? And I don't want to go into a whole nother conversation, but like I just thought about that when you mentioned that, and like people need to start being real. And part of the things you said is natural. I think the problem is money, right? There wasn't always money around, right? Money is a currency that we use today. So how did a woman, right, in our internet forums, how did they respect men, right? Based on, can you provide for me and can you protect me? You know what I'm saying? So those are like main things. Like we talking about like way before all this extra stuff that we have, it's about providing and protecting, right? And those are things that help us sustain our life further, right? You know what I'm saying? A woman, you know what I'm saying? If he's a gatherer, you know what I'm saying? Gatherers, hunters, and protectors and providers, that's what all it was about. So when we transfer that to modern day, right? It's like this. A man could provide for you, right? And not be a six-figure dude. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's almost like some of these sisters are chasing a lifestyle. They're chasing a certain lifestyle. You know, so it's not even so much, oh, I want him to provide and protect me no more. It's about why you're not making enough money. Like I got this saying, right? That women are never satisfied. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could help her orgasm 5 times. She gonna say, why you ain't do it 10 times? You know what I'm saying? Like it just you know what I'm saying? It's just never enough. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a little joke there, but I just think that there is some truth. I think like even us with God, right? Humans, I just think some of this shit is human nature. I think even with God, you know, how many times do we actually sit there and just say thank you, right? Instead of just always asking. Like God could have gave you everything you wanted today. He could have gave you a house. He could have gave you a car. You want another car. You want another business. Billionaires, what do they want? They want another billion. Some of these dudes got money that they never going to be able to spend. And I feel like we're going away. But I'm just trying to, but this is why he mentioned the capitalistic nature. All of this shit is at the root, right? Of the capitalistic nature that has, and I'll tell people, this is a whole nother conversation we're going to have, how racism is not about, I don't like you because of your color. Just like the gender shit, it's not that I don't like you because you're a woman. You know what I'm saying? It's about money. The whole reason women make less money than men is because women are looked at as a liability in the workforce. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole basis for this shit. It's not because I don't like you because you're a woman. It's because money-wise, if I run a company and you got children, this is why these employers, they always ask you, do you have kids? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna ask you, do you have kids?
And that's really what it is. I had read this article, whatever, stated. Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. I have read this article that have basically stated that it's not women. Women do not make disproportionate amount of money that men make, right? What it is people who take care of children, right? So, and majority of the times we know that like mothering responsibilities or like parental responsibilities, usually mothers have it, right? Women are more likely to leave their job to go get their kid if they're sick. Women are more likely to take off work, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, for their child. Women are more likely to have pictures of their children at their desk at workplaces, right? And that's seen as a distraction, right? They view people with children, right, as a distraction. You know what I'm saying? You're less likely to be able to stay late at night. You're less likely to come to other outside activities outside of work. You're less likely to come and pull out overtime. You know what I'm saying? You're less likely to make certain decisions and take certain risks because you take care of children. So for the women who actually don't have children, and for the women who do not make children and choose not to have children for the entirety of their life, their pay gap to men is not really that far off. It's people who have children.
Yeah. So and that's a good point that you made. Because again, there's this narrative, right? There's this narrative that they want us to believe about women being not empowered, right? It's almost like the same narrative during slavery times, right? Where the white woman be trying to act like they don't know what was going on. Everything that was happening was their husband's fault. You know what I'm saying? When in a lot of cases, these white women were the responsible for a lot of shit that was going on. What else I wanted to touch upon? It was something else that you mentioned. Work. Yeah. So there's this narrative, right? About, again, the women, you don't have no power, you don't have no this, you don't have no that. And it's just like, but then when we have a real conversation, right? When we really look at the facts, right? Men lead in suicide rates. You know what I'm saying? Men lead in homelessness. Men lead in unemployment. Men lead in victims of violent crimes. You know what I'm saying? Men lead in crimes being committed against them, right? Like men lead, and it's so much other shit that I could talk about that men lead in, but we never sit here and talk about them in a way where we say, oh, we have to uplift them. Like there's no masculineness, right? Because that's the other counterpart of feminism, right? Like there's no masculineness talking about this, because people will be like come on, like, are you serious? Like, you're not going through nothing. I was in the shelter, you know what I'm saying, and the way the shelter system works is we give priority to women and women with kids. You know what I'm saying?
Women with kids, then women, yeah.
The women is still above men.
Yeah, no, I know.
Whether she got kids or whether she's alone. No, but I get what you're saying. The women with kids and then the women, right? But they still get priority, right? This is why there's a lot of homeless men out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when we take those things into consideration, when you really look at the facts, then it's like, hold on. Now you're gonna be like, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Like now we getting on to something. So I think that there's a whole bunch of crap that's going on that they're bamboozling us. And I think it's working, because here we are having a conversation about some shit that we be beefing over. We be beefing over gender, and we be beefing over this shit, when at the bottom line, all of this shit is just about money. All of this shit is just about capitalism, you know what I'm saying? And keeping certain people at the bottom and allowing certain people to thrive. And the longer they keep us fighting amongst each other and our disintegrated families and the black communities, you know what I'm saying? The longer, because, I think like when you have a family structure, you start to spend your money differently. You know what I'm saying? You start to spend your money differently. When you single, think about it. When you single, you're not thinking about kids. You're not thinking about like, so how we going to, you know what I'm saying? You're not thinking about certain shit. You just think about, you got your little job, you got your little apartment, you might want your little car. You know what I'm saying? If you're making a certain type of money. But when you're committed to a family, you're thinking differently. You know what I'm saying? You're thinking about doing different stuff with your money. And when you think about black people in this country who were supported, who were when they was doing the uprisings, when they was doing, when they was doing the bus boycott, when they was organizing against structural violence, it was the mom and pop businesses that were supporting these movements. You know what I'm saying? It was the black church. It was these black businesses, the community, right? And we don't have that today. We don't have that community, and it's because we bickering and we're fighting each other. So hopefully, man, I don't want to, I don't want to stretch it, I don't want to drag it. But I think that, like, if we really want things to work, and we really want to change the narrative and really, change certain things, I think like we need to like have like real conversations with each other. We need to like really get to the root of why we're having issues, what's really going on, and we need to start genuinely caring for each other. Like, and I just think like that's just real. Like, I think even during the time of slavery, when the woman would get raped, like she would still worry about her man going out there and doing something stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like she was still like, even though she just got violated, right? And she got to console herself and she got to like deal with that shit. She still was, there was some men who were trying to do stupid stuff and she was still trying to keep her family together. She was still like, baby, like if you go out there, they're going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? And you just going to leave us here.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to call it stupid stuff. What they was doing was being men and protecting their family.
I mean, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't stupid, but it was stupid for the situation they was in. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying that it's stupid. It's your nature. But the woman was trying to make
it wasn't smart in terms of
if you you're right. Live. Better word than is better too. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. I shouldn't use stupid. Stupid is like kind of like, it just wasn't conducive to do that. Right. Even though they still got to face the risk of they could sell my wife tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? They could sell my kids. It's still the mentality, and I feel like that's why they put up with so much, because it's like the threat of being sold was always there. So it's just like, yo, let's just. And at the end of the day, a person would rather their relative get sold then he get killed. You know what I'm saying? Like they would rather like and that's bad too. You know what I'm saying? That's a crazy feeling too. But I just think that like we gotta understand like where all this shit coming from. And I think that like yeah, man, we just don't trust each other. And I think that's like the basis of it. Like no trust. We don't have no trust. Like they cause distrust amongst the men. This is why it's so easy for men to walk down the block and look at another man like, what the fuck you looking at? You know what I'm saying? It's distrust amongst the man. It's distrust amongst the woman. You know what I'm saying? We talk about body shaming and all of these things, right? But most of the people that are online on social media talking shit about women are other women. You know what I'm saying? So like we need to like recognize that. You know what I'm saying? Like the men beefing with the men, they're killing each other over stupid shit, over looks. The women beefing with the women, like, you know what I'm saying, like violating each other, talking shit about each other. So I just think that, yeah, we got to figure it out, but we got to figure out why they don't want us together, why they don't want us building with each other, why they love to see us in dysfunction. So if you got anything else to say.
Nope, that'll be all for today.
Yeah, somebody was talking about they used to work at a chicken warehouse and got laid off. The owner would pay Chinese men and Chinese women more than the rest of the other non-Chinese employees, and the owner was white. Yeah, man, it's all designed, man, to just like you was talking about the hierarchy, racial hierarchy, and who you want at the bottom. Who you want at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? They got a grudge against black folks. This is just so crazy. I felt like the moment they couldn't make money, they couldn't make no more money of black people the way they wanted to for free. It's like they just develop a grudge. Like they just felt like, why wasn't you happy in your condition? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy, man. Like this whole shit is crazy, but I don't want to drag it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure y'all share it, y'all like, comment, subscribe, share. We're gonna be doing these. We probably do another episode tomorrow, just and a little more frequent to catch up because we've been away for a little bit. But I thanks everybody for tuning in, everybody that was here, everybody that paid attention, everybody that shared, that liked it, that commented. I read all the comments and stuff like that. It's a little different right now. I couldn't really, I'm doing a lot. I'm on my computer right now, so that's why it's lagging a little bit. So pardon me for the technical difficulties earlier, but I appreciate your input and the communication, and let's keep the thing rolling. So peace. Have a good one.
Peace.